Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a seriously fascinating framework on how to literally engineer better connections and overcome those deep-seated conflicts through intentional identity. Look, if you've ever felt like your relationship arguments just totally spin out of control, you are definitely in the right place. We are going to dive deep into this concept of the relationship alter ego. I want you to consider this pretty stark truth for a second. In relationships, we rarely fail because we don't care. We fail because we react. Just think about that. It hits hard, right? Because the times you've hurt your partner the absolute most, they usually don't stem from a lack of love. Not at all. They actually stem from surrendering to our reactive selves in the heat of the moment. We just kind of let our defenses take the wheel. So here's our roadmap for today's masterclass. First, we'll examine the reactive relationship trap, then redefine the alter ego and look at engineering the crucial gap. After that, we'll build your new skill architecture, and finally, we'll cross the bridge of becoming. Let's get right to it. Section 1, the reactive relationship trap, where we look at surrendering to the reactive self. It's a painful paradox, honestly. You've got these intense drivers like fear and pride acting as this destructive chain, and it just drags us from our absolute deepest values straight down into our worst habits. When those triggers hit, whether it's fear, frustration, pure exhaustion, or maybe just slipping into old bad habits, the chain breaks, and boom, the default reaction takes over. We blurt out that thing we don't mean. We completely shut down. We try to win the argument instead of, actually protecting the connection. This kind of poor communication isn't a lack of love. It's a complete surrender to that reactive self. Moving on to Section 2, redefining the alter ego and making the paradigm shift. Now, when we hear the term alter ego, our brains usually jump straight to, Batman or Beyonce's Sasha Fierce, right? We think of it as this fake mask you put on to project some kind of unshakable, bulletproof confidence. But the reality for relationships, it is entirely different. It's actually a tool for profound honesty, for intention, and for emotional leadership. A relationship alter ego isn't about pretending to be someone else. It's about accessing the version of you that already knows exactly how to handle the moment better when things get stressful. And the core mechanism making this work is genuinely fascinating. It goes like this. You practice the behavior first, you change the dynamic, and then the feeling follows later. This is absolutely crucial. If you fall into that flawed trap of waiting around until you actually feel ready to communicate better, you're gonna inevitably react defensively, and that means zero growth. You have to step up into that intentional version of yourself and act first. Over time, it stops feeling like a performance and, honestly, just becomes part of who you are. Which brings us to Section 3, engineering the crucial gap to save the moment. I want you to think of your trigger and your reaction as two heavy steel doors just slamming together. But right between them, there's a tiny bit of space. Engineering this gap by taking a slow, deep breath and simply asking how a better version of yourself would handle this conversation is exactly what saves the relationship from your pride. Just pause. Ask yourself in that exact moment, how would the best version of me respond to criticism right now? How would they show love when they're just completely exhausted? You're stepping up to protect the connection instead of protecting your ego. If you literally only remember one thing to use in that gap, use this ultimate pattern interrupt question. What does love require from me right now? Man, take a moment of profound reflection on that. Creating an alter ego doesn't mean ignoring your very real feelings. It means giving those feelings a leader instead of letting them run wild. When your old self just wants to avoid, attack, blame, or withdraw, this single powerful question changes the whole shebang. Section 4, your new skill architecture, where we build the foundation. See, this alter ego isn't some inflated image or ego trip. It's supported by absolute, incredibly practical, actionable pillars. You've got to develop the skill to listen without constantly preparing your comeback. You must speak clearly but completely without cruelty. Apologize but without adding that huge laundry list of excuses at the end. You need to endure staying present even when the conversation gets genuinely, terribly uncomfortable. And above all else, you have to master the skill of realizing the person sitting right across from you is not your enemy. And all of this builds into a highly personalized action plan. Depending on what your specific reactive tendency is, you can actually identify your archetype right here. Let's say you're the listener, and your current self just wants to get super defensive. Well, your alter ego's prescribed action is to consciously slow down, make eye contact, and say, help me understand what you're feeling. Or maybe you're the steady man who just wants to shut down or run away during conflict. Your prescribed action is to literally breathe, stay in the room, and respond with care. Or if you're the builder, who really struggles to show affection after stress, your move is to send a kind text or just offer a touch. You just apply your prescribed action to break your specific destructive cycle. Now, these actions naturally link together to form what we call an emotional routine, because the goal isn't just to sort of try to stop arguing. No way. The real goal is to forge a completely new identity linked to an emotional routine where you simply become the kind of partner who pauses before causing damage. You aren't just trying to communicate better. You are literally becoming the kind of person who communicates with pure intention. Finally, Section 5, the bridge of becoming, moving towards the ideal. This whole journey acts as a brilliant blueprint. Think of it as a bridge. It proves that the alter ego isn't an escape from who you are, it's a deliberate practice. An architectural bridge safely connecting your habitual, currently hurting self directly to your ideal self. You are actively crossing over from reacting out of hurt and exhaustion all the way over to a place where your deepest values are actually realized. A place where you're patient, loyal, steady, and actively building enduring trust. So how do you actually cross that bridge? Well, you start right here. Remember, building a better relationship doesn't require some flawless, perfect version of you right out of the gate. It just requires you to take step-by-step choices to be a willing version, capable of breaking those old patterns. First, you just gotta be willing to pause. Then, willing to listen, willing to apologize, and willing to grow. Look, relationships are built by these repeated moments where you actively choose who you are going to be. I want to leave you with this really provocative final thought. The ultimate goal here is to stop letting your worst habits speak for your deepest values. So the very next time the pressure rises and things get heated, who will you choose to let speak for you?